The Vimalakirti Nirdeśa Sūtra. 7. Looking at living beings. Manjushri asked Vimalakirti, how should a bodhisattva look at living beings? Vimalakirti replied, a bodhisattva should look at living beings like an illusionist does at the illusory men he has created, and like a wise man looking at the moon's reflection in water, at his own face in a mirror, at the flame of a burning fire, at the echo of a calling voice, at flying clouds in the sky, at foam in a liquid, at bubbles on water, at the empty core of a banana tree, at a flash of lightning, at the non-existent fifth element, beside the four that make the human body, at the six aggregate, beside the five that make a sentient being, at the seventh sense datum, beside the six objects of sense, at the 13th entrance, ayatana, beside the 12 involving the six organs and six sense datum, at the 19th realm of sense, beside the 18 dhatus or fields of sense, at form in the formless world, at the non-existent sprout of a charred grain of rice, at a body seen by a Shrota-apana, who has wiped out the illusory body to enter the holy stream, at the entry of an anagamin, or a non-returning Shravaka, into the womb of a woman for rebirth, at an arhat still preserving the three poisons of desire, anger, and stupidity, which he has eliminated forever, at a bodhisattva realizing the patient endurance of the uncreate, who is still greedy, resentful, and breaking the prohibitions, at a Buddha still suffering from klesa, troubles, at a blind man seeing things, at an adept who still breathes air in and out, while in the state of nirvanic imperturbability, at the tracks of birds flying in the air, at the progeny of a barren woman, at the suffering of an illusory man, at a sleeping man seeing he is awake in a dream, at a devout man realizing nirvana, who takes bodily form for another reincarnation, and at a smokeless fire. This is how a bodhisattva should look at living beings. Thereat, Manjushri asked Vimalakirti, when a bodhisattva so meditates, how should he practice kindness, maitri? Vimalakirti replied, when a bodhisattva has made this meditation, he should think that he ought to teach living beings to meditate in the same manner. This is true kindness. He should practice causeless, nirvanic kindness, which prevents creativeness, unheated kindness, which puts an end to klesha, troubles, and causes of troubles, impartial kindness, which covers all the three periods of time, which means that it is eternal, involving past, future, and present, passionless kindness, which wipes out disputation, non-dual kindness, which is beyond sense organs within and sense data without, indestructible kindness, which eradicates all corruptibility, stable kindness, which is a characteristic of the undying self-mind, pure and clean kindness, which is spotless like Dharmata, boundless kindness, which is all-pervasive like space, the kindness of the arhat stage, which destroys all bondage, the bodhisattva kindness, which gives comfort to living beings, the Tathagata kindness, which leads to the state of thatness, the Buddha kindness, which enlightens all living beings, spontaneous kindness, which is causeless, Bodhi kindness, which is of one flavor, i.e. uniform and unmixed wisdom, unsurpassed kindness which cuts off all desires, merciful kindness which leads to the Mahayana path, untiring kindness because of deep insight into the void and non-existent ego, Dharma bestowing, dana kindness, which is free from regret and repentance, precept, sila, involving upholding kindness to convert those who have broken the commandments, patient, kshanti kindness, which protects both the self and others, zealous, virya kindness, to liberate all living beings, serene, jhana kindness, which is unaffected by the five senses, wise, prajna kindness, which is always timely, expedient, upāya kindness, to appear at all times for converting living beings, unhidden kindness, because of the purity and cleanliness of the straightforward mind, profound-minded kindness, which is free from discrimination, undeceptive kindness, which is faultless, and joyful kindness, which bestows the Buddha joy in nirvana. Such are the specialities of bodhisattva kindness. Manjushri asked Vimalakirti, what should be his compassion, karuna? Vimalakirti replied, his compassion should include sharing with all living beings all the merits he has won. Manjushri asked, what should be his joy, mudita? Vimalakirti replied, he should be filled with joy on seeing others win the benefit of the Dharma with no regret whatsoever. Manjushri asked, what should he relinquish, upeksa? Vimalakirti replied, in his work of salvation, he should expect nothing, i.e. no gratitude or reward in return. Manjushri asked, on what should he rely in his fear of birth and death? Vimalakirti replied, he should rely on the power of the Tathagata's moral merits. Manjushri asked, what should he do to win support from the power of the Tathagata's moral merits? Vimalakirti replied, he should liberate all living beings in order to win support from the power of the Tathagata's moral merit. Manjushri asked, what should he wipe out in order to liberate living beings? Vimalakirti replied, when liberating living beings, he should wipe out their klesa, troubles and causes of troubles. Shariputra exclaimed, excellent, goddess, excellent. What have you gained and experienced that gives you such an eloquence? The goddess replied, the fact that I neither gain nor experience anything gives me this eloquence. Why is it so? Because he who claims to have won and experienced something is arrogant in the eye of the Buddha Dharma. Shariputra asked, which of the three vehicles is your aim? The goddess replied, when I preach the Shravaka Dharma to convert people, I appear as a Shravaka. When I expound the 12 links in the chain of existence, I appear as a Pracheka Buddha. And when I teach great compassion to convert them, I appear as a teacher of Mahayana. Shariputra, like those entering a champa grove who smell only the fragrance of champas to the exclusion of all other odors, those entering this room smell only the fragrance of Buddha merits, and no longer like the aroma of achievements by Shravakas and Pracheka Buddhas. Shariputra, when Indra, Brahma, The 4 Deva kings of the 4 heavens, guardians of the world, heavenly dragons, ghosts and spirits, etc., entered the room and heard this upāsaka, Vimalakirti, expound the right Dharma. They all took delight in smelling the fragrance of Buddha merits and developed the Mahayana mind before returning to their worlds. Shariputra, I have stayed here for 12 years, during which I have never heard the dharmas of Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, but only the doctrine of great kindness, Maitri, and great compassion, Karuna, of the bodhisattvas and the inconceivable Buddha Dharma. Shariputra, in this room there are always 8 unusual manifestations. Firstly, this room is illuminated by a golden light, which is the same by day and night, and does not depend on either sunlight or moonlight to light it up. Secondly, he who enters it is immune from all troubles caused by defilements. Thirdly, this room is visited by Indra, Brahma, the 4 Deva kings of the 4 heavens, and bodhisattvas from other realms. Fourthly, the never-receding Dharma of the 6 paramitas is always expounded in it. Fifthly, the most melodious heavenly music, intoning countless Dharma doors to enlightenment, is heard in it. Sixthly, this room contains the 4 canons of sutras, Vinaya, Shastras, and miscellaneous scriptures, full of inexhaustible precious treasures for those who are spiritually poor. Seventhly, when the Venerable Upāsaka thinks of Sakyamuni Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, Akshobhya Buddha, the Buddha of precious virtues, the Buddha of precious flame, the Buddha of precious moonshine, the Buddha of precious majesty, the invincible Buddha, the Buddha of the lion's roar, the Buddha of all perfection, and countless other Buddhas in the 10 directions, they all come to expound the secrets of the esoteric Buddha Dharma, after which they return to their realms. Eighthly, all majestic heavenly palaces and all pure lands of Buddhas appear in this room. Shariputra, after witnessing these 8 remarkable things in this room, who still seeks the Shravaka Dharma? Shariputra asked, "Why do not you change your female bodily form?" The goddess replied, "For the last 12 years I have been looking in vain for a female bodily form, so what do you want me to change?" This is like an illusionist who creates an illusory woman. Is it correct to ask him to change this unreal woman? Shariputra said, "No, because it is not a real body. Into what then can it be changed?" The goddess said, "All phenomena, including forms, are also unreal. So why have you asked me to change my unreal female body?" Thereat she used her supernatural powers to change Shariputra into a heavenly goddess, and herself into a man similar to Shariputra, and asked him, "Why do not you change your female form?" Shariputra replied, "I do not know why I have turned into a goddess." The goddess said, "Shariputra, if you can change your female body, all women should also be able to turn into men. Like Shariputra, who is not a woman, but appears in female bodily form, all women are the same, and though they appear in female form, they are fundamentally not women. Hence the Buddha said, 'All things are neither male nor female.'" Thereat the goddess again used her supernatural powers to change Shariputra back to his original male body, and asked, "Where is your female body now?" Shariputra replied, "The form of a woman neither exists nor is non-existent." The goddess then declared, "Likewise, all things are fundamentally neither existing nor non-existent, and that which neither exists nor is non-existent is proclaimed by the Buddha." Shariputra asked, "When will you die here, and where will you be reborn?" The goddess replied, "I shall be reborn like a Buddha, by transformation." Shariputra interjected, "The Buddha's transformation body implies neither birth nor death." The goddess said, "Likewise, all living beings fundamentally are subject to neither death nor birth." Shariputra asked, "When would you realize supreme enlightenment, anuttara samyak sambodhi?" The goddess replied, "I shall realize supreme enlightenment when Shariputra returns to the worldly way of life." Shariputra retorted, "There is no such thing as myself, a holy man at the Shravaka stage, returning to the worldly way of life." The goddess said, "There is also no such thing as myself realizing enlightenment. Why? Because bodhi, or enlightenment, is not an objective which can be realized." Shariputra retorted, "There are Buddhas as countless as sand grains in the Ganges who have realized and will win supreme enlightenment. What will you say of them?" The goddess said, "The three periods of time, the past, future, and present, are spoken of to the common man as being in line with worldly thinking. But this does not mean that bodhi, which is timeless or eternal, is tied to the past, future, and present." She then asked Shariputra, "Shariputra, have you realized arhatship?" Shariputra replied, "I have realized it because I hold no concept of winning anything." The goddess said, "Likewise, all Buddhas and great bodhisattvas achieved their goals because they were free from the idea of winning supreme enlightenment." Thereat, Vimalakirti said to Shariputra, "This goddess has made offering to 92 lakhs of Buddhas. She is able to play with the bodhisattva transcendental powers, has fulfilled all her vows, has realized the patient endurance of the uncreate, and has reached the never-receding bodhisattva stage. In fulfillment of a vow, she appears at will everywhere to teach and convert living beings." 8. The Buddha Path. Manjushri asked Vimalakirti, "How does a bodhisattva enter the Buddha path?" Vimalakirti replied, "If a bodhisattva treads the wrong ways without discrimination, he enters the Buddha path." Manjushri asked, "What do you mean by a bodhisattva treading the wrong ways?" Vimalakirti replied, "In his work of salvation, if a bodhisattva is free from irritation and anger while appearing in the fivefold uninterrupted hell, is free from the stain of sins while appearing in other hells, is free from ignorance, arrogance, and pride while appearing in the world of animals, is adorned with full merits while appearing in the world of hungry ghosts, does not show his superiority while appearing in the heavenly worlds of form and beyond form, is immune from defilements while appearing in the world of desire, is free from anger while appearing as if he were resentful, uses wisdom to control his mind while appearing to be stupid, appears as if he were greedy, but gives away all his outer, i.e. money and worldly, and inner, i.e. bodily possessions, without the least regret for his own life, appears as if he broke the prohibitions while delighting in pure living and being apprehensive of committing even a minor fault, appears as if he were filled with hatred while always abiding in compassionate patience, appears as if he were remiss while diligently practicing all meritorious virtues, appears as if he were disturbed while always remaining in the state of serenity, appears as if he were ignorant while possessing both mundane and supramundane wisdoms, appears as if he delighted in flattering and falsehood, while he excels in expedient methods in conformity with straightforwardness as taught in the sutras, shows arrogance and pride while he is as humble as a bridge, appears as if he were tormented by troubles while his mind remains pure and clean, appears in the realm of demons while defeating heterodox doctrines to conform with the Buddha wisdom, appears in the realm of Shravakas where he expounds the unheard-of supreme Dharma, appears in the realm of Pratyeka Buddhas where he converts living beings in fulfillment of great compassion, appears amongst the poor, but extends to them his precious hand, whose merits are inexhaustible, appears amongst the crippled and disabled, with his own body adorned with the excellent physical marks of the Buddha, appears among the lower classes, but grows the seed of the Buddha nature with all relevant merits, appears amongst the emaciated and ugly, showing his strong body to the admiration of them all, appears as an old and ill man, but is actually free from all ailments with no fear of death, appears as having all the necessities of life, but always sees into impermanence and is free from greed, appears to have wives, concubines, and maids, but always keeps away from the morass of the 5 desires, appears amongst the dull-witted and stammerers to help them win the power of speech derived from the perfect control of mind, appears amongst heretics to teach orthodoxy and deliver all living beings, enters all worlds of existence to help them uproot the causes leading thereto, and appears as if entering nirvana, but without cutting off birth and death. Manjushri, this bodhisattva can tread heterodox ways because he has access to the Buddha path. Vimalakirti then asked Manjushri, "What are the seeds of the Tathagata?" Manjushri replied, "Body is a seed of the Tathagata. Ignorance and craving are its 2 seeds. Desire, hate, and stupidity, its 3 seeds. The 4 inverted views, its 4 seeds. The 5 covers or screens, its 5 seeds. The 6 organs of sense, its 6 seeds. The 7 abodes of consciousness, its 7 seeds. The 8 heterodox views, its 8 seeds. The 9 causes of klesha, troubles and their causes, its 9 seeds, and the 10 evils, its 10 seeds. To sum up, all the 62 heterodox views and all sorts of klesha are the seeds of Buddhahood." Vimalakirti asked Manjushri, "Why is it so?" Manjushri replied, "Because he who perceives the inactive, wu-wei state and enters its right nirvanic position is incapable of advancing further to achieve supreme enlightenment, anuttara samyak sambodhi. For instance, high ground does not produce the lotus, which grows only in marshy land. Likewise, those perceiving nirvana and entering its right position will not develop into Buddhahood, whereas living beings in the mire of klesha can eventually develop the Buddha Dharma. This is also like seeds scattered in the void, which do not grow, but if they are planted in manured fields, they will yield good harvests. Thus, those entering the right position of nirvana do not develop the Buddha Dharma, whereas those whose view of the ego is as great as Mount Sumeru may, because of the misery of life, eventually set their minds on the quest of supreme enlightenment, thereby developing the Buddha Dharma. Therefore, we should know that all sorts of klesha are the seeds of the Tathagata. This is like one who does not plunge into the ocean will never find the priceless pearl. Likewise, a man who does not enter the ocean of klesha will never win the gem of all knowledge, sarvajna. Thereat, Mahakashapa exclaimed, "Excellent, Manjushri, excellent. Your sayings are most gratifying. As you have said, those suffering from klesha are the seeds of the Tathagata. So we are no longer capable of developing a mind set on enlightenment. Even those committing the 5 deadly sins can eventually set their minds on the quest of the Buddha Dharma, but we are unable to do so, like persons whose defective organs prevent them from enjoying the 5 objects of the senses. Likewise, the Shravakas who have cut off all bonds of transmigration are no longer interested in the Buddha Dharma and will never want to realize it. Therefore, Manjushri, the worldly man still reacts favorably to the Buddha Dharma, whereas the Shravaka does not. Why? Because when the worldly man hears about the Buddha Dharma, he can set his mind on the quest of the supreme path, thereby preserving forever the 3 treasures of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Whereas the Shravaka, even if he passes his lifetime listening to the Dharma and witnessing the fearlessness of the Buddha, etc., will never dream of the supreme way. A bodhisattva called Universal Manifestation, who was present, asked Vimalakirti, "Who are your parents, wife and children, relatives and kinsmen, official and private friends, and where are your pages and maids, elephants and horse carts?" In reply, Vimalakirti chanted the following: "Wisdom perfection is a bodhisattva's mother. His father is expedient method, for the teachers of all living beings come only from these 2, upaya and prajna. His wife is joy in Dharma's law. Kindness and pity are his daughters. His sons, morality and truthfulness. Absolute voidness, his quiet abode. Passions are his disciples, whom he transforms at will. Bodhipakshika Dharma are his friends, helping him to win supreme enlightenment. All other perfections are his companions. The 4 winning methods are his courtesans. Hymns, chants, and intonations of Dharma are his melodies. Complete control over passions is his park. Passionlessness is his grove. The 7 grades of body are the flowers, bearing the fruit of wisdom's liberation. The pool of 8-fold liberation holds calm water, which is clear and full. The 7 blossoms of purity are well arranged, to bathe this undefiled bodhisattva man, whose 5 supernatural powers are walking elephants and horses, while the Mahayana is his vehicle, which, controlled by the one mind, rolls through the 8 noble paths. 32 distinctive marks dignify his body, while 80 excellencies add it to their grace. Shamefulness is his raiment, and deep mind his coiffure. The 7 riches that he owns are his assets, which, used to teach others, earn more dividends. Dedicating all merits to Buddhahood, his practice of the Dharma has received wins far greater profit. The 4 jhanas are his meditation bed, which from pure living originates. Much learning increases wisdom, announcing self-awakening. His broth is the flavor of release. The precepts are his perfumed salve, and pure mind is his bath. By killing the culprit klesha is his boldness unsurpassed. By defeating the 4 demons, he plants his triumphant banner as a bodhi mandala. Though he knows there is neither birth nor death, he is reborn to show himself to all, appearing in many countries like the sun seen by everyone. When making offerings to countless Buddhas in the 10 directions, he does not discriminate between himself and them. Although he knows that Buddha lands are void like living beings, he goes on practicing the Pure Land Dharma to teach and convert men. In their kinds, features, voices, and bearing, this fearless bodhisattva can appear the same as they. He knows the mischief demons do, but appears as one of them, using wise, expedient means to look like them at will. Or he appears old, ill, and dying, to make living beings realize that all things are but illusion, to free them from all handicaps. Or he shows the eon's end with fire, destroying heaven and earth, so that those clinging to permanence realize the impermanence of things. Then countless living beings call on this bodhisattva, inviting him to their homes to convert them to the Buddha path. In heterodox books, spells, skills, magic, arts, and talents, he appears to be an expert to help and benefit all living beings. Appearing in their midst, he joins the Sangha in order to release them from defilement, to prevent their slipping into heresy. Then is he seen as the sun, moon, or heaven, as Brahma or the Lord of all the world, at times as earth or water, or as the wind and fire. When they fall ill or epidemics rage, he prepares medicinal herbs for them to take to cure their illness or infection. When famine prevails, he makes food and drink to save them from thirst and hunger before teaching them the Dharma. In times of war, he teaches kindliness and pity to convert living beings so they can live in peace. When armies line up for battle, he gives equal strength to both. With his authority and power, he forces them to be reconciled and live in harmony. To all countries where there are hells, he comes unexpectedly to relieve their sufferings. Wherever animals devour one another, he appears among them, urging them to do good. Seeming to have the 5 desires, he is always meditating to upset the demons and prevent their mischief. Like that thing most rare, a lotus blossoming in a scorching fire, he meditates amidst desires, which also is a thing most rare. Or he appears as a prostitute to entice those who to lust are given, first using temptation to hook them. He then leads them to the Buddha wisdom. He appears as a district magistrate, or as a chief of the caste of traders, a state preceptor, or high official to protect living beings. To the poor and destitute, he appears with boundless purse to advise and guide them until they develop the body-mind. To the proud and arrogant, he appears as powerful to overcome their vanity till they tread the path supreme. Then he comes to comfort people who are cowards. First he makes them fearless, then urges them to seek the truth. Or he appears without desires and acts like a seer with 5 spiritual powers to convert living beings by teaching them morality, patience, and pity. To those needing support and help, he may appear as a servant to please and induce them to grow the Tao mind, providing them with all they need to enter on the Buddha path, thus using expedient methods to supply them with all their needs. Then, as with boundless truth, his deeds are also endless. With his wisdom that has no limit, he frees countless living beings. If all the Buddhas were to spend countless eons in praising his merits, they could never count them fully. Who, after hearing this Dharma, develops not the body-mind, can only be a worthless man, a jackass, without wisdom. Chapter 9. Initiation into the non-dual Dharma. Thereat, Vimalakirti said to the bodhisattvas present, "Virtuous ones, each of you please say something about the non-dual Dharma as you understand it." In the meeting, a bodhisattva called Comfort in the Dharma said, "Virtuous ones, birth and death are a duality, but nothing is created and nothing is destroyed. Realization of this patient endurance leading to the uncreate is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The bodhisattva called Guardian of the 3 Virtues said, "Subject and object are a duality, for where there is ego, there is also its object. But since fundamentally there is no ego, its object does not arise. This is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The bodhisattva never winking said, "Responsiveness, Vedana, the second aggregate, and unresponsiveness are a duality. If there is no response to phenomena, the latter cannot be found anywhere. Hence there is neither accepting nor rejecting of anything, and neither karmic activity nor discrimination. This is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The bodhisattva highest virtue said, "Impurity and purity are a duality. When the underlying nature of impurity is clearly perceived, even purity ceases to arise. Hence this cessation of the idea of purity is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The bodhisattva, winner of samadhi by looking at the star, said, "External disturbance and inner thinking are a duality. When disturbance subsides, thinking comes to an end, and the absence of thought leads to non-discriminating. Reaching this state is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The bodhisattva skillful eye said, "Monistic form and formlessness are a duality. If monistic form is realized as fundamentally formless, with relinquishment of formlessness in order to achieve impartiality. This is initiation into the non-dual Dharma. The Bodhisattva Wonderful Arm said, "The Bodhisattva mind and the Shravaka mind are a duality. If the mind is looked into as void and illusory, there is neither Bodhisattva mind nor Shravaka mind. This is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Pusya said, "Good and evil are a duality. If neither good nor evil arises, so that formlessness is realized to attain reality, this is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Simha, lion, said, "Weal and woe are a duality. If the underlying nature of woe is understood, woe does not differ from weal. If the diamond indestructible wisdom is used to look into this with neither bondage nor liberation coming into play, this is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Lion's Fearlessness said, "The mundane and supramundane are a duality. If all things are looked into impartially, neither the mundane nor the supramundane will arise. With no differentiation between form and formlessness, this is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Pure Interpretation said, "Activity, Ju-wei, and non-activity, Wu-wei, are a duality. But if the mind is kept from all mental conditions, it will be void like space, and pure and clean wisdom will be free from all obstructions. This is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Narayana said, "The mundane and the supramundane are a duality, but the underlying nature of the mundane is void, or immaterial, and is but the supramundane, which can be neither entered nor left, and neither overflows like the stream of transmigration, nor scatters like smoke. This is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Skillful Mind said, "Samsara and nirvana are a duality. If the underlying nature of samsara is perceived, there exists neither birth nor death, neither bondage nor liberation, and neither rise nor fall. Such an understanding is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Direct Insight said, "The exhaustible and the inexhaustible are a duality. If all things are looked into exhaustively, both the exhaustible and the inexhaustible cannot be exhausted, and the inexhaustible is identical with the void, which is beyond both the exhaustible and the inexhaustible. Such an interpretation is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Upholder of Universality said, "The ego and non-ego are a duality. Since the ego cannot be found, where can the non-ego be found? He who perceives the real nature of the ego will not give rise to dualities. This is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Lightning Perception said, "Enlightenment and unenlightenment are a duality. But the underlying nature of unenlightenment is enlightenment which should also be cast away. If all relativities are discarded and replaced by non-dual impartiality, this is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Priyadarshana said, "Form, rupa, and voidness are a duality, but form is identical with voidness, which does not mean that form wipes out voidness, for the underlying nature of form is void of itself. So are the other four aggregates: reception, vedana, conception, sajna, discrimination, samskara, and consciousness, vijnana, in relation to voidness. Consciousness and voidness are a duality, yet consciousness is identical with voidness, which does not mean that consciousness wipes out voidness, for the underlying nature of voidness is void of itself. A thorough understanding of this is initiation into the non-dual Dharma. The Bodhisattva, understanding the four elements, said, "The four elements, earth, water, fire, and air, and their voidness, are a duality. But the underlying nature of the four elements is identical with that of voidness. Like the past, before the four elements came into being, and the future when they scatter away, which are both void, the present when they appear is also void. Identical understanding of the underlying nature of all four elements is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Deep Thought said, "I and form are a duality, but if the underlying nature of the I is known with neither desire nor anger, nor stupidity in relation to things seen, this is nirvana. Likewise, the ear and sound, the nose and smell, the tongue and taste, the body and touch, and the mind and ideation are dualities. But if the underlying nature of the mind is known, with neither desire, anger, and stupidity in relation to things heard, smelt, tasted, touched, and thought, this is nirvana. Resting in this state of nirvana is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Inexhaustible Mind said, "Charity perfection, dana paramita, and the dedication, parinamana, of its merits towards realizing the all-knowledge, sarvajna, are a duality. But the underlying nature of charity is dedication towards the all-knowledge. Likewise, discipline perfection, sila paramita, patience perfection, kshanti paramita, zeal perfection, virya paramita, meditation perfection, jhana paramita, and wisdom perfection, prajna paramita, with dedication to the all-knowledge, are 5 dualities, but their underlying natures are but dedication to the all-knowledge, while realization of their oneness is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Profound Wisdom said, "Voidness, formlessness, and non-activity are 3 different gates to liberation, and when each is compared to the other 2, there are 3 dualities. But voidness is formlessness, voidness is formless, and formlessness is non-active. For when voidness, formlessness, and non-activity obtain, there is neither mind, nor intellect, nor consciousness, and liberation through either one of these 3 gates is identical with liberation through all the 3. This is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Unstirred Sense Organ said, "Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are 3 different treasures, and when each is compared to the other 2, there are 3 dualities. But Buddha is identical with Dharma, and Dharma is identical with Sangha. For the 3 treasures are non-active, wu-wei, and are equal to space, with the same equality for all things. The realization of this equality is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The bodhisattva unimpeded mind said, "Body and its eradication in nirvana are a duality, but body is identical with nirvana." Why? Because if the underlying nature of body is perceived, no conception of existing body and its nirvanic condition will arise, for both are fundamentally non-dual, not being two different things. The absence of alarm and dread when confronting this ultimate state is initiation into the non-dual Dharma. The Bodhisattva's superior virtue said, "The three karmas produced by body, mouth, and mind are different when each is compared to the other two and make three dualities. But their underlying nature is non-active. So non-active body is identical with non-active mouth, which is identical with non-active mind. These three karmas being non-active, all things are also non-active. Likewise, if wisdom, prajna, is also non-active, this is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva field of blessedness said, "Good conduct, evil conduct, and motionlessness are different, and when each is compared to the other two, make three dualities. But the underlying nature of all three is voidness, which is free from good, evil, and motionlessness. The non-rising of these three is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Majestic Blossom said, "The ego and its objective are a duality, but if the underlying nature of the ego is looked into, this duality vanishes. If duality is cast away, there will be no consciousness, and freedom from consciousness is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Treasurer of Threefold Potency said, "Realization implies subject and object, which are a duality. But if nothing is regarded as realization, there will be neither grasping nor rejecting, and freedom from grasping and rejecting is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Moon in Mid-Heaven said, "Darkness and light are a duality. Where there is neither darkness nor light, this duality is no more. Why? Because in the state of samadhi resulting from the complete extinction of sensation and thought, there is neither darkness nor light, while all things disappear. A disinterested entry into this state is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Ratnamudra, precious symbol, said, "Joy in nirvana and sadness in samsara are a duality which vanishes when there is no longer joy and sadness. Why? Because where there is bondage, there is also desire for liberation. But if fundamentally there is no bondage, who seeks liberation? Where there is neither bondage nor liberation, there will be neither joy nor sadness. This is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Gem on the Head said, "Orthodoxy and heterodoxy are a duality, but he who dwells in, i.e. realizes orthodoxy, does not discriminate between orthodoxy and heterodoxy. Keeping from these two extremes is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." The Bodhisattva Joy in Reality said, "Reality and unreality are a duality, but he who realizes reality does not even perceive it, still less unreality. Why? Because reality is invisible to the ordinary eyes and appears only to the eye of wisdom. Thus, realization of the eye of wisdom, which is neither observant nor unobservant, is initiation into the non-dual Dharma. After the bodhisattvas had spoken, they asked Manjushri for his opinion on the non-dual Dharma. Manjushri said, "In my opinion, when all things are no longer within the province of either word or speech, and of either indication or knowledge, and are beyond questions and answers, this is initiation into the non-dual Dharma." Thereat, Manjushri asked Vimalakirti, "All of us have spoken. Please tell us what is the bodhisattva's initiation into the non-dual Dharma." Vimalakirti kept silent without saying a word. At that, Manjushri exclaimed, "Excellent, excellent. Can there be true initiation into the non-dual Dharma until words and speech are no longer written or spoken?" After this initiation into the non-dual Dharma had been expounded, 5,000 bodhisattvas at the meeting were initiated into it, thereby realizing the patient endurance of the uncreate. 10. The Buddha of the Fragrant Land. Shariputra was thinking of mealtime and of the food for the bodhisattvas in the meeting when Vimalakirti, who read his thought, said to him, "The Buddha taught the 8 forms of liberation which you have received for practice. Do you now mix your desire to eat with his Dharma? If you want to eat, please wait for a moment, and you will have a rare treat." At that, Vimalakirti entered the state of samadhi, and used his transcendental power to show to the assembly a country, which is above separated from this world by a distance represented by Buddha lands as countless as sand grains in 42 Ganges rivers, and which was called the country of all fragrances, whose Buddha was called the Tathagata of the fragrant land, and was still there. The fragrance of that country surpassed all scents emitted by the devas in Buddha lands in the 10 directions. In that Buddha land, there were neither Savakas nor Prachika Buddhas, but only pure and clean bodhisattvas, to whom that Buddha expounded the Dharma. All things there are formed by fragrances, such as palaces, the earth, gardens, and parks, which emit sweet scent, and the fragrance of its food spreads to countless worlds in the 10 directions. Its Buddha and bodhisattvas were sitting down for the meal offered to them by the sons of devas, who were all called glorious fragrances, and were setting their minds on the quest of supreme enlightenment. This was seen by all those present in the meeting. Vimalakirti said to his listeners, "Virtuous ones, who of you can go there to beg for food from that Buddha?" As Manjushri was noted for his supernatural power, all the bodhisattvas kept silent. Thereat, Vimalakirti said, "Are not the virtuous ones ashamed of their inability to do so?" Manjushri retorted, "As the Buddha has said, those who have not yet studied and practiced Mahayana should not be slighted." Thereupon Vimalakirti, without rising from his seat, used his transcendental power to create an illusory, bogus bodhisattva, whose features were radiant and whose dignity was unsurpassable, overshadowing the whole assembly. He then said to this illusory bodhisattva, "Ascend to the fragrant land to call on its Buddha, saying what I now tell you." Upāsaka Vimalakirti bows his head at your feet to pay his reverence, and inquires respectively about your happy tidings. He hopes you are well and have no difficulties in converting living beings, and that your vigor is in full. He wishes to receive some leftovers from your meal to do the salvation work in the Saha world, for the purpose of converting to Mahayana those of the small vehicle, and of spreading the renown of the Tathagata to make it known everywhere. After that, the illusory bodhisattva ascended, and was seen by the whole assembly to approach the Buddha of Fragrance Land and repeat what Vimalakirti had ordered him to say. When the bodhisattvas there saw the messenger, they praised the rare visit, asking their Buddha, "Where does this bodhisattva come from? Where is this world called Saha? What does the small vehicle mean?" The Buddha replied, "There is a world called Saha, which is below and is separated from here by Buddha lands as countless as the sand grains in 42 Ganges rivers, whose Buddha is called Shakyamuni, and is now staying in the midst of 5 turbid conditions, where he teaches the supreme Dharma to those clinging to the small vehicle. Over there is a bodhisattva called Vimalakirti, who has achieved inconceivable liberation, and is expounding the Dharma to other young bodhisattvas. Hence he has created an illusory messenger to extol my name and praise this land, so that they can earn more merits." The bodhisattvas asked, "Who is that bodhisattva who can create an illusory messenger, and whose transcendental powers, fearlessness, and ubiquity are so great?" That Buddha replied, "His powers, fearlessness, and ubiquity are very great indeed. He used to send his illusory messengers to all places in the 10 directions to perform the bodhisattva work of salvation for the benefit of living beings. That Buddha then filled a bowl of fragrant rice and handed it to the illusory messenger. All his 9 million bodhisattvas declared they all wished to go to Saha to pay reverence to Shakyamuni Buddha and to see Vimalakirti and the other bodhisattvas there. That Buddha warned them, "You may go there, but hide your fragrance, lest the people give rise to the wrong thought of clinging to it. You should also change your appearance, in order not to provoke their self-abasement. To avoid wrong views, do not slight them." Why? Because all worlds in the 10 directions are fundamentally immaterial, like space, and because all Buddhas wishing to convert those of the small vehicle do not reveal completely to them their own unpure and clean lands. At that, the illusory messenger received the bowl of fragrant rice, and together with the 9 million bodhisattvas, availed themselves of that Buddha's and Vimalakirti's transcendental powers, disappeared from the fragrant land, and a little later arrived at Vimalakirti's abode. Vimalakirti then used his transcendental powers to make 9 million lion thrones, as majestic as those already there, for the visitors. The illusory messenger then handed him the bowl of rice, the fragrance of which spread to the whole town of Vaishali, and then to the whole great Chiliocosm. Brahmin devotees at Vaishali perceived the fragrance and became elated. They praised the rare occurrence. Their chief, called Lunar Canopy, took 84,000 men to Vimalakirti's house, where they saw many bodhisattvas seated on majestic lion thrones. They were jubilant, and paid reverence to the bodhisattvas and the Buddha's chief disciples, and then stood at one side. Earthly and heavenly ghosts, as well as the devas of the worlds of desire and of form who smelt the fragrance, came as well. Thereat, Vimalakirti said to Sariputra and the Shravakas, "Virtuous ones, you may now take the Tathagata's immortal rice, which has been infused with great compassion. Do not give rise to the thought of limitation when taking it, or you will not be able to digest it." When some Shravakas thought that the small quantity of rice seemed insufficient for the whole assembly, the illusory bodhisattva said, "Do not use the virtue and intelligence of a Shravaka to estimate the Tathagata's boundless blessedness and wisdom. The 4 oceans are inexhaustible, but this rice is inexhaustible. If all men took and rolled it into a ball as large as Mount Sumeru, they would not have finished eating it by the end of the eon. Why? Because food that has been left over by those who have practiced boundless morality and discipline, sila, serenity, jhana, and wisdom, prajna, liberation and knowledge of liberation, and who have won all merits, is inexhaustible. Hence this bowl of rice will satisfy the whole meeting without being exhausted." The bodhisattvas, Shravakas, devas, and men who take it will experience comfort and joy, like the bodhisattvas of all blessed pure lands. Their pores will give out profound fragrance, which is like the scent of the trees in fragrant lands. Vimalakirti then asked the visiting bodhisattvas, "How does the Tathagata of your land preach the Dharma?" They replied, "The Tathagata of our land does not use word and speech to preach, but uses the various fragrances to stimulate the devas in their observance of the commandments. They sit under fragrant trees and perceive how sweet the trees smell, thereby realizing the samadhi derived from the store of all merits. When they realize this samadhi, they win all merits." These bodhisattvas then asked Vimalakirti, "How does the world-honored one, Shakyamuni Buddha, preach the Dharma?" Vimalakirti replied, "Living beings of this world are pig-headed and difficult to convert. Hence the Buddha uses strong language to tame them. He speaks of hells, animals, and hungry ghosts in their planes of suffering, of the places of rebirth for stupid men as retribution for perverse deeds, words, and thoughts, i.e. for killing, stealing, carnality, lying, double tongue, coarse language, affected speech, covetousness, anger, perverted views, which are the 10 evils. For stinginess, breaking the precepts, anger, remissness, confused thoughts, and stupidity, i.e. the 6 hindrances to the 6 paramitas. For accepting, observing, and breaking the prohibitions, for things that should and should not be done, for obstructions and non-obstructions, for what is sinful and what is not, for purity and filthiness, for the worldly and holy states, for heterodoxy and orthodoxy, for activity and non-activity, and for samsara and nirvana. Since the minds of those who are difficult to convert are like monkeys, various methods of preaching are devised to check them so that they can be entirely tamed. Like elephants and horses, which cannot be tamed without whipping them until they feel pain and become easily managed, the stubborn of this world can be disciplined only with bitter and eager words." After hearing this, the visiting bodhisattvas said, We have never heard of the world-honored one, Shakyamuni Buddha, who conceals his boundless sovereign power to appear as a beggar, to mix with those who are poor, in order to win their confidence for the purpose of liberating them, and of the bodhisattvas here, who are indefatigable and so humble, and whose boundless compassion caused their rebirth in this Buddha land. Vimalakirti said, "As you have said, the bodhisattvas of this world have strong compassion, and their lifelong works of salvation for all living beings surpass those done in other pure lands during hundreds and thousands of eons. Why? Because they achieved 10 excellent deeds, which are not required in other pure lands. What are these 10 excellent deeds? They are 1. Charity, dana, to succor the poor. 2. Precept-keeping, sila, to help those who have broken the commandments. 3. Patient endurance, kshanti, to subdue their anger. 4. Zeal and devotion, virya, to cure their remissness. 5. Serenity, jhana, to stop their confused thoughts. 6. Wisdom, prajna, to wipe out ignorance. 7. Putting an end to the 8 distressful conditions for those suffering from them. 8. Teaching Mahayana to those who cling to Hinayana. 9. Cultivation of good roots for those in want of merits. And 10. The 4 bodhisattva winning devices for the purpose of leading all living beings to their goals in bodhisattva development. These are the 10 excellent deeds. The visiting bodhisattvas asked, "How many dharmas should a bodhisattva achieve in this world to stop its morbid growth, defilements, in order to be reborn in the Buddha's pure land?" Vimalakirti replied, "A bodhisattva should bring to perfection 8 dharmas to stop morbid growth in this world in order to be reborn in the pure land. They are 1. Benevolence towards all living beings with no expectation of reward. 2. Endurance of sufferings for all living beings, dedicating all merits to them. 3. Impartiality towards them, with all humility free from pride and arrogance. 4. Reverence to all bodhisattvas with the same devotion as to all Buddhas, i.e., without discrimination between bodhisattvas and Buddhas. 5. Absence of doubt and suspicion when hearing the expounding of sutras which he has not heard before. 6. Abstention from opposition to the Shravaka Dharma. 7. Abstention from discrimination in regard to donations and offerings received with no thought of self-profit in order to subdue his mind. And 8. Self-examination without contending with others. Thus he should achieve singleness of mind, bent on achieving all merits. These are the 8 dharmas. After Vimalakirti and Manjushri had thus expounded the Dharma, hundreds and thousands of devas developed the mind set on supreme enlightenment, and 10,000 bodhisattvas realized the patient endurance of the uncreate. 11. Bodhisattva conduct. The Buddha was expounding the Dharma at Amaravana Park, which suddenly became majestic and extensive, while all those present turned golden-hued. Ananda asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, what is the cause of these auspicious signs? Why does this place become extensive and majestic, and why does the assembly turn golden-hued?" The Buddha replied, This is because Vimalakirti and Manjushri, with their followers circumambulating them, want to come here. Hence these auspicious signs. At Vaishali, Vimalakirti said to Manjushri, "We can now go and see the Buddha, so that we and the bodhisattvas can pay reverence and make offerings to him." Manjushri said, "Excellent, let us go. It is now time to start." Vimalakirti then used his transcendental powers to carry the whole meeting with the lion thrones on the palm of his right hand, and flew in the air to the Buddha's place. When they landed there, Vimalakirti bowed his head at his feet, walked round him from the right 7 times, and bringing his palms together, stood at one side. The bodhisattvas left their lion thrones to bow their heads at his feet, and also walked round him 7 times, and stood at one side. The Buddha's chief disciples, with Indra, Brahma, both as protectors of the Dharma, and the 4 Deva kings of the 4 heavens, also left their lion thrones, bowed their heads at his feet, walked round him 7 times, and then stood at one side. The Buddha comforted the bodhisattvas and ordered them to take their seats to listen to his teaching. After they had sat down, the Buddha asked Sariputra, "Have you seen what the great bodhisattvas have done with their transcendental powers?" And he asked, "What do you think of all this?" Shariputra replied that he had. And he asked, "What do you think of all this?" Shariputra answered, "I saw them do inconceivable feats, which the mind can neither think of nor estimate." Ananda then asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, the fragrance we are smelling was never perceived before. What is it?" The Buddha replied, "Ananda, it is the fragrance given out by the pores of these bodhisattvas." At that, Shariputra said to Ananda, "Our pores also give the same fragrance." Ananda asked Shariputra, "Where does it come from?" Shariputra replied, "It is this upāsaka Vimalakirti who obtained what was left over from the Buddha's meal in the fragrant land, and those who ate it at his abode give out this fragrance from their pores." Ananda then asked Vimalakirti, "How long does this fragrance last?" Vimalakirti replied, "It lasts until the rice has been digested." Ananda asked, "How long does this take?" Vimalakirti replied, "It will be digested after a week." Ananda, Shravakas who have not reached the right position, nirvana, will attain it after taking this rice, which will then be digestible. And those who have attained nirvana will realize liberation of their minds from the subtle conception of nirvana, and then the rice will be digested. Those who have not developed the Mahayana mind will develop it, and then the rice will be digested. Those who have developed it and take this rice will achieve the patient endurance of the uncreate, and the rice will then be digestible. Those who have achieved the patient endurance of the uncreate and take this rice will reincarnate once more for final development into Buddhahood, and the rice will be digested. Like an efficacious medicine which cures an ailment before wasting away, this rice will be digestible after it has killed all troubles and afflictions, klesa. Ananda said to the Buddha, "World-honored one, it is indeed a rare thing that this fragrant rice performs the Buddha work of salvation." The Buddha said, "It is so, Ananda, it is so. There are Buddha lands where the Buddha light performs the work of salvation. where the bodhisattvas perform it, where illusory men created by the Buddha do it, where the bow trees do it, where the Buddha's robe and bedding do it, where the rice taken by the Buddha does it, where parks and temples do it, where the Buddha's 32 physical marks and their 80 notable characteristics do it, where the Buddha's body, rupakaya, does it, and where empty space does it, and living beings practice discipline with success because of these causes. Also used for the same purpose are dream, illusion, shadow, echo, the image in a mirror, the moon reflected in water, the flame of a fire, sound, voice, word, speech, and writing. The pure and clean Buddha land, silence with neither word nor speech, neither pointing, discerning, action nor activity. Thus, Ananda, whatever the Buddhas do by either revealing or concealing their awe-inspiring majesty is the work of salvation. Ananda, because of the 4 basic delusions in reference to the ego, divided into 84,000 defilements which cause living beings to endure troubles and tribulations, the Buddhas avail themselves of these trials to perform their works of salvation. This is called entering the Buddha's Dharma door to enlightenment, Dharma Pariyaya. When entering this Dharma door, if a bodhisattva sees all the clean Buddha lands, he should not give rise to joy, desire, and pride. And if he sees all the unclean Buddha lands, he should not give rise to sadness, hindrance, and disappointment. He should develop a pure and clean mind to revere all Tathagatas who rarely appear and whose merits are equal, in spite of their appearance in different lands, clean and unclean, to teach and convert living beings. Ananda, you can see different Buddha lands, i.e. clean and unclean, but you see no difference in space, which is the same everywhere. Likewise, the physical bodies of Buddhas differ from one another, but their omniscience is the same. Ananda, the underlying nature of the physical bodies of the Buddhas, their discipline, serenity, liberation, and full knowledge of liberation, their 10 powers, their 4 fearlessnesses, their 18 unsurpassed characteristics, their boundless kindness and compassion, their dignified deeds, their infinite lives, their preaching of the Dharma to teach and convert living beings, and to purify Buddha lands, are all the same. Hence their titles of Samyak Sambuddha, Tathagata, and Buddha. Ananda, if I am to give you the full meaning of these 3 titles, you will pass the whole eon without being able to hear it completely. Even if the great Chiliocosm is full of living beings who are all good listeners, and like you can hold in memory everything they hear about the Dharma, they will also pass the whole eon without being able to hear my full explanation of these 3 titles. For Ananda, the Buddha's supreme enlightenment is boundless, and his wisdom and power of speech are inconceivable. Ananda said, "From now on, I dare no more claim to have heard much of the Dharma." The Buddha said, "Ananda, do not give way to backsliding. Why? Because I have said that you have heard much more about the Dharma than the Shravakas, but not than the bodhisattvas. Ananda, a wise man should not make a limited estimate of the bodhisattva stage, because the depths of the oceans can be measured, but the bodhisattva's serenity, wisdom, imperturbability, power of speech, and all his merits cannot be measured. Ananda, let us put aside the bodhisattva conduct. The transcendental powers which Vimalakirti has demonstrated today cannot be achieved by all Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas using their spiritual powers for hundreds and thousands of years. Thereat, the visiting bodhisattvas put their palms together and said to the Buddha, "World-honored one, when we first saw this world, we thought of its inferiority, but we now repent of our wrong opinion." Why? Because the expedients, upāya, employed by all Buddhas are inconceivable. Their aim being to deliver living beings, they appear in different Buddha lands suitable for the purpose. World-honored one, will you please bestow upon us some little Dharma, so that when we return to our own land, we can always remember you? The Buddha said to them, "There are the exhaustible and the inexhaustible Dharmas which you should study. What is the exhaustible? It is the active, yu-way, or mundane Dharma. What is the inexhaustible? It is the non-active, wu-way, or supramundane Dharma. As bodhisattvas, you should not exhaust or put an end to the mundane state, nor should you stay in the supramundane state. What is meant by not exhausting the mundane state? It means not discarding great benevolence, not abandoning great compassion, developing a profound mind set on the quest of all knowledge, sarvajna or Buddha knowledge, without relaxing for even an instant, indefatigable teaching and converting living beings, constant practice of the 4 bodhisattva winning methods, upholding the right Dharma, even at the risk of one's body and life, unwearied planting of all excellent roots, unceasing application of expedient devices, upāya, and dedication, parinamana, never-ending quest of the Dharma, unsparing preaching of it, diligent worship of all Buddhas, hence fearlessness when entering the stream of birth and death, absence of joy in honor and of sadness in disgrace, refraining from slighting non-practices of the Dharma, respecting practices of the Dharma as if they were Buddhas, helping those suffering from klesha to develop the right thought, keeping away from desire and pleasure with no idea of prizing such high conduct, no preference for one's happiness, but joy at that of others, regarding one's experience in the state of samadhi as similar to that in a hell, considering one's stay in samsara, i.e. state of birth and death, as similar to a stroll in a park, giving rise to the thought of being a good teacher of Dharma when meeting those seeking it, giving away all possessions to realize all knowledge, sarvajna, giving rise to the thought of salvation when seeing those breaking the precepts, thinking of the 6 perfections, paramitas, as dear as one's parents, thinking of the 37 conditions contributory to enlightenment as if they were one's helpful relatives, planting all excellent roots without any restrictions, gathering the glorious adornments of all pure lands to set up one's own Buddha land, unrestricted bestowal of Dharma to win all the excellent physical marks of the Buddha, wiping out all evils to purify one's body, mouth, and mind, developing undiminished bravery while transmigrating through samsara in countless eons, untiring determination to listen to an account of the Buddha's countless merits, using the sword of wisdom to destroy the bandit of klesha, temptation, to take living beings out of the realm of the 5 aggregate skandhas and 12 entrances, ayatana, so as to liberate them forever. Using firm devotion to destroy the army of demons. Unceasing search for the thought-free wisdom of reality. Content with few desires while not running away from the world in order to continue the bodhisattva work of salvation. Not infringing the rules of respect-inspiring deportment while entering the world to deliver living beings. Use of the transcendental power derived from wisdom to guide and lead all living beings. Controlling, dharani, the thinking process in order never to forget the Dharma. Being aware of the roots of all living beings in order to cut off their doubts and suspicions about their underlying nature. Use of the power of speech to preach the Dharma without impediment. Perfecting the 10 good deeds to win the blessings of men and devas in order to be reborn among them to spread the Dharma. Practicing the 4 infinite minds, kindness, pity, joy, and indifference, to teach the Brahma heavens. Rejoicing at being invited to expound and extol the Dharma in order to win the Buddha's skillful method of preaching. Realizing excellence of body, mouth, and mind to win the Buddha's respect-inspiring deportment. Profound practice of good Dharma to make one's deeds unsurpassed. Practicing Mahayana to become a bodhisattva monk, and developing a never-receding mind in order not to miss all excellent merits. This is the bodhisattva not exhausting the mundane state. What is the bodhisattva not staying in the supramundane state, nirvana? It means studying and practicing the immaterial, but without abiding in voidness. Studying and practicing formlessness and inaction, but without abiding in them. Studying and practicing that which is beyond causes, but without remaining in it. Looking into impermanence without discarding the roots of good causation. Looking into suffering in the world without hating birth and death, i.e. samsara. Looking into the absence of the ego while continuing to teach all living beings indefatigably. Looking into nirvana with no intention of dwelling in it permanently. Looking into the relinquishment of nirvana while one's body and mind are set on the practice of all good deeds. Looking into the non-existing destinations of all things while the mind is set on practicing excellent actions as true destinations. Looking into the unborn, i.e. the uncreate, while abiding in the illusion of life to shoulder responsibility to save others. Looking into passionlessness without cutting off the passion stream in order to stay in the world to liberate others. Looking into the state of non-action while carrying out the Dharma to teach and convert living beings. Looking into nothingness without forgetting about great compassion. Looking into the right position, i.e. nirvana, without following the Hinayana habit of staying in it. Looking into the unreality of all phenomena, which are neither firm nor have an independent nature, and are egoless and formless, but since one's own fundamental vows are not entirely fulfilled, one should not regard merits, serenity, and wisdom as unreal, and so cease practicing them. This is the bodhisattva not staying in the non-active, wu-wei state. Further, to win merits, a bodhisattva does not stay in the supramundane, and to realize wisdom, he does not exhaust the mundane. Because of his great kindness and compassion, he does not remain in the supramundane, and in order to fulfill all his vows, he does not exhaust the mundane. To gather the Dharma medicines, he does not stay in the supramundane, and to administer remedies, he does not exhaust the mundane. Since he knows the illnesses of all living beings, he does not stay in the supramundane, and since he wants to cure their illnesses, he does not exhaust the mundane. Virtuous ones, a bodhisattva practicing this Dharma neither exhausts the mundane nor stays in the supramundane. This is called the exhaustible and inexhaustible Dharma doors to liberation, which you should study. After hearing the Buddha expounding the Dharma, the visiting bodhisattvas were filled with joy, and rained heavenly flowers of various colors and fragrances in the great Chiliocosm as offerings to the Buddha and his sermon. After this, they bowed their heads at the Buddha's feet and praised his teaching, which they had not heard before, saying, "How wonderful is Shakyamuni Buddha's skillful use of expedient methods, upāya." After saying this, they disappeared to return to their own land. 12. Seeing Akshobhya Buddha. The Buddha then asked Vimalakirti, "You spoke of coming here to see the Tathagata, but how do you see him impartially?" Vimalakirti replied, "Seeing reality in one's body is how to see the Buddha. I see the Tathagata did not come in the past, will not go in the future, and does not stay in the present. The Tathagata is seen neither in form, rupa, the first aggregate, nor in the extinction of form, nor in the underlying nature of form. Neither is he seen in responsiveness, vedana, conception, sanjna, discrimination, samskara, and consciousness, vijnana, i.e. the four other aggregates, their extinction and their underlying natures. The Tathagata is not created by the four elements, earth, water, fire, and air, for he is immaterial like space. He does not come from the union of the six entrances, i.e. the six sense organs, for he is beyond ear, eye, nose, tongue, body, and intellect. He is beyond the three worlds of desire, form, and formlessness, for he is free from the three defilements, desire, hate, and stupidity. He is in line with the three gates to nirvana, and has achieved the three states of enlightenment, or three insights, which do not differ from the underlying nature of unenlightenment. He is neither unity nor diversity, neither selfness nor otherness, neither form nor formlessness, neither on this shore of unenlightenment, nor on the other shore of enlightenment, nor in midstream when converting living beings. He looks into the nirvanic condition of stillness and extinction of worldly existence, but does not dwell in its permanent extinction. He is neither this nor that, and cannot be revealed by these two extremes. He cannot be known by intellect or perceived by consciousness. He is neither bright nor obscure. He is nameless and formless, being neither strong nor weak, neither clean nor unclean, neither in a given place nor outside of it, and neither mundane nor supramundane. He can neither be pointed out nor spoken of. He is neither charitable nor selfish. He neither keeps nor breaks the precepts, is beyond patience and anger, diligence and remissness, stillness and disturbance. He is neither intelligent nor stupid, and neither honest nor deceitful. He neither comes nor goes, and neither enters nor leaves. He is beyond the paths of word and speech. He is neither the field of blessedness nor its opposite, neither worthy nor unworthy of worship and offerings. He can be neither seized nor released, and is beyond is and is not. He is equal to reality and to the nature of Dharma, dharmata, and cannot be designated and estimated, for he is beyond figuring and measuring. He is neither large nor small, is neither visible nor audible, can neither be felt nor known, is free from all ties and bondage, is equal to the all-knowledge and to the underlying nature of all living beings, and cannot be differentiated from all things. He is beyond gain and loss, free from defilement and troubles, klesa, beyond creating and giving rise to anything, beyond birth and death, beyond fear and worry, beyond like and dislike, and beyond existence in the past, future, and present. He cannot be revealed by word, speech, discerning, and pointing. World-honored one, the body of the Tathagata being such, seeing him as above mentioned, is correct, whereas seeing him otherwise is wrong. Thereupon Shariputra asked Vimalakirti, "Where did you die to be reborn here?" Vimalakirti asked back, "Is the Shavaka Dharma which you have realized subject to death and rebirth?" Shariputra replied, "It is beyond death and birth." Vimalakirti asked, "If there is neither birth nor death, why did you ask me, where did you die to be reborn here? What do you think of illusory men and women created by an illusionist? Are they subject to death and birth?" Shariputra replied, "They are not subject to death and birth. Have you not heard the Buddha say that all things are illusions?" Vimalakirti said, "Yes. If all things are illusions, why did you ask me where I died to be reborn here?" Shariputra, death is unreal and deceptive, and means decay and destruction to the worldly man, while life, which is also unreal and deceptive, means continuance to him. As to the bodhisattva, although he disappears in one place, he does not put an end to his good deeds, and although he reappears in another, he prevents evils from arising. Thereat the Buddha said to Shariputra, "There is a Buddha land called the Realm of Profound Joy, whose Buddha is Akshobhya Buddha, where Vimalakirti disappeared to come here." Shariputra said, "It is a rare thing, world-honored one, that this man could leave a pure land to come to this world full of hatred and harmfulness." Vimalakirti asked Shariputra, "Shariputra, what do you think of sunlight? When it appears, does it unite with darkness?" Shariputra replied, "Where there is sunlight, there is no darkness." Vimalakirti asked, "Why does the sun shine on Jambudvipa, this earth?" Shariputra replied, "It shines to destroy darkness." Vimalakirti said, "Likewise, a bodhisattva, although born in an unclean Buddha land, does not join and unite with the darkness of ignorance, but teaches and converts living beings to destroy the obscurity of klesha. As the assembly admired and wished to see the immutable Tathagata, the bodhisattvas and shravakas of the pure land of profound joy." The Buddha, who read their thoughts, said to Vimalakirti, "Virtuous man, please show the immutable Tathagata and the bodhisattvas and shravakas of the land of profound joy to this assembly who want to see them. Vimalakirti thought that he should, while remaining seated, take with his hand the world of profound joy, with its iron-enclosing mountains, hills, rivers, streams, ravines, springs, seas, Sumerus, sun, moon, stars, planets, palaces of heavenly dragons, ghosts, spirits, and devas, bodhisattvas, shravakas, towns, hamlets, men and women of all ages, the immutable Tathagata, his bow tree, body tree, and beautiful lotus blossoms, which were used to perform the Buddha work of salvation in the 10 directions, as well as the 3 flights of gemmed steps, linking Jambudvipa, our earth, with Trayastrimsas, by which the Devas descended to earth to pay reverence to the immutable Tathagata and to listen to his Dharma, and by which men ascended to Trayastrimsas to see the Devas. All this was the product of countless merits of the realm of profound joy, from the Akanishta heaven above to the seas below, and was lifted by Vimalakirti with his right hand, with the same ease with which a potter raises his wheel, taking everything to earth to show it to the assembly, as if showing his own headdress. Vimalakirti then entered the state of samadhi, and used his supramundane power to take with his right hand the world of profound joy which he placed on earth. The bodhisattvas, shravakas, and some devas who had realized supramundane powers said to their Buddha, "World-honored one, who is taking us away? Will you please protect us?" The immutable Buddha said, "This is not done by me, but by Vimalakirti, who is using his supramundane power." But those who had not won supramundane powers neither knew nor felt that they had changed place. The world of profound joy neither expanded nor shrank after landing on the earth, which was neither compressed nor straightened, remaining unchanged as before. Thereat, Shakyamuni Buddha said to the assembly, "Look at the immutable Tathagata of the land of profound joy, which is majestic, where the bodhisattvas live purely, and the Buddha's disciples are spotless." The assembly replied, "Yes, we have seen." The Buddha said, "If a bodhisattva wishes to live in such a pure and clean Buddha land, he should practice the path trodden by the immutable Tathagata." When the pure land of profound joy appeared, 14 nayutas of people in this Saha world developed the mind set on supreme enlightenment, and vowed to be reborn in the realm of profound joy. Shakyamuni Buddha then prophesied their coming rebirth there. After the visiting bodhisattvas had done their work of salvation for the benefit of living beings in this world, the pure land of profound joy returned to its original place, and this was seen by the whole assembly. The Buddha then said to Shariputra, "Have you seen the world of profound joy and its immutable Tathagata?" Shariputra replied, "Yes, world-honored one, I have. May all living beings win a pure land similar to that of the immutable Buddha, and achieve supramundane powers like those of Vimalakirti. World-honored one, we shall soon realize a great benefit resulting from our meeting and paying obeisance to this man now. And living beings, hearing this sutra now or after the Buddha's nirvana, will also realize a great benefit. How much more so if, after hearing it, they believe, understand, receive, and uphold it, or read, recite, explain, and preach it, and practice its Dharma accordingly. He who receives this sutra with both hands will, in reality, secure the treasure of the Dharma gem. If, in addition, he reads, recites, and understands its meaning and practices it accordingly, he will be blessed and protected by all Buddhas. Those making offerings to this man, Vimalakirti, will through him automatically make offerings to all Buddhas. He who copies this sutra to put it into practice will be visited by the Tathagata, who will come to his house. He who rejoices at hearing this sutra is destined to win all knowledge, sarvajna, and he who can believe and understand this sutra, or even any of its 4-line gathas, and preaches it to others, will receive the Buddha's prophecy of his future realization of supreme enlightenment. 13. The offering of Dharma. Thereupon, Chakra, who was in the assembly, said to the Buddha, "Well-honoured one, although I have listened to hundreds and thousands of sutras expounded by you and Manjushri, I did not hear of this inconceivable sutra of supramundane sovereign power and absolute reality. As I understand from your present preaching, if living beings listening to the Dharma of this sutra believe, understand, receive, uphold, read and recite it, they will surely realize this Dharma. How much more so if someone practices it as expounded. He will shut all doors to evil destinies and will open up all doors to blessedness, will win the Buddha's perfection, will overcome heresy, destroy the demons, cultivate bodhi, set up a place of enlightenment, bodhi mandala, and follow in the Tathagata's footsteps. World-honored one, if there are people who receive, uphold, read, recite, and practice this sutra, I and my followers will provide them with all the necessaries of life. If this sutra is kept in a town or a hamlet, in a grove or a desert, I and my followers will come to the place of the preacher to listen to its Dharma. I shall cause the believers, the unbelievers, to develop faith in this sermon. As to the believers of it, I shall protect them. The Buddha said, "Excellent, Chakra, excellent. It is gratifying to hear what you have just said. This sutra gives a detailed exposition of the inconceivable supreme enlightenment realized by past, future, and present Buddhas. Therefore, Chakra, if a virtuous man or woman receives, keeps, reads, recites, and reveres this sutra, such an attitude is equal to making offering to past, future, and present Buddhas. Chakra, if the great Kiliocosm were full of countless Tathagatas, as many as the sugar canes, bamboos, reeds, rice grains, and hemp seeds in its fields, and if a virtuous man or woman who has passed either a whole eon or decreasing kalpa to revere, honor, praise, serve, and make offerings to these Buddhas, and then after their nirvana, death, should build with relics from their bodies a 7-gem stupa as large as the 4 Deva heavens put together, and of a height reaching the Brahma heaven, with a majestic spire, to which he or she will make offerings of flowers, incense, strings of precious stones, banners, and melodious music, during either a whole kalpa or in a decreasing one. Chakra, what do you think of his or her merits? Are they many?" Chakra replied, very many, well-honoured one, and it is impossible to count his or her merits for hundreds and thousands of eons. The Buddha said, "Shakra, you should know that if another virtuous man or woman, after hearing this sutra of inconceivable liberation, believes, understands, receives, keeps, reads, recites, and practices this sutra, his or her merits will surpass those of the former man or woman." Why? Because the body, enlightenment of all Buddhas, originates from this Dharma, and since enlightenment is beyond all measuring, the merits of this sutra cannot be estimated. The Buddha continued, "Long before an uncountable number of eons in the past, there was a Buddha called Vaisajya Raja, whose titles are Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, Vijacharana Sampanna, Sugata, Lokavid, Anuttara, Purusa Damya Sarati, Sasta Deva Manusyanam, and Buddha Lokanata, or Bhagavan. His world was called Mahavyuha, and the then eon Alamkara Kakalpa. The Buddha Vaisajya Raja lived for 20 small kalpas. The number of Shravakas reached 36 Nayutas, and that of bodhisattvas 12 lakhs. There Shakra was a heavenly ruler, Chakravarti, called Precious Canopy, who possessed all the 7 treasures and was the guardian of 4 heavens. He had 1,000 sons who were respectable and brave and had overcome all opposition. At the time, Precious Canopy and his retinue had worshipped and made offerings to the Tathagata Vaisajya Raja for 5 eons, after which he said to his 1,000 sons, "You should respectfully make offerings to the Buddha, as I have done." Obeying their father's order, they made offerings to the Tathagata Vaisajya for 5 eons, after which one of the sons, called Lunar Canopy, while alone, thought, "Is there some other form of offering surpassing what we have made up to now?" Under the influence of the Buddha's transcendental power, a deva in the sky said, "Virtuous man, the offering of Dharma surpasses all other forms of offering." Lunar Canopy asked, "What is this offering of Dharma?" The deva replied, "Go and ask the Tathagata Vaisajya, who will explain it fully." Thereupon Lunar Canopy came to the Tathagata Vaisajya, bowed his head at his feet, and stood at his side, asking, "Well-honoured one, I have heard that the offering of Dharma surpasses all other forms of offering. What is the offering of Dharma?" The Tathagata replied, "Virtuous one, the offering of Dharma is preached by all Buddhas in profound sutras, but it is hard for worldly men to believe and accept it, as its meaning is subtle and not easily detected, for it is spotless in its purity and cleanliness. It is beyond the reach of thinking and discriminating. It contains the treasury of the bodhisattva's Dharma store and is sealed by the Dharani symbol. It never backslides, for it achieves the 6 perfections, paramitas, discerns the difference between various meanings, is in line with the Bodhi Dharma, is at the top of all sutras, helps people to enter upon great kindness and great compassion, to keep from demons and perverse views, and to conform with the law of causality and the teaching on the unreality of an ego, a man, a living being, and life, and on voidness, formlessness, non-creating, and non-uprising. It enables living beings to sit in a body mandala, to turn the wheel of the law. It is praised and honored by heavenly dragons, Gandharvas, etc. It can help living beings to reach the Buddha's Dharma store and gather all knowledge, savajna realized by saints and sages, preach the path followed by all bodhisattvas, rely on the reality underlying all things, proclaim the doctrine of impermanence, suffering, voidness, and absence of ego and nirvana. It can save all living beings who have broken the precepts and keep in awe all demons, heretics, and greedy people. It is praised by the Buddhas, saints, and sages, for it wipes out suffering from birth and death, proclaims the joy in nirvana as preached by past, future, and present Buddhas in the 10 directions. If a listener, after hearing about this sutra, believes, understands, receives, upholds, reads and recites it, and uses appropriate methods, upāya, to preach it clearly to others, this upholding of the Dharma is called the offering of Dharma. Further, the practice of all Dharmas as preached to keep in line with the doctrine of the 12 links in the chain of existence, to wipe out all heterodox views, to achieve the patient endurance of the uncreate, anutpatti dhamma kshanti, as beyond creation, to settle once for all the unreality of the ego and the non-existence of living beings, and to forsake all dualities of ego and its objects without deviation from and contradiction to the law of causality and retribution for good and evil, by trusting to the meaning rather than the letter, to wisdom rather than consciousness, to sutras revealing the whole truth rather than those of partial revelation, and the Dharma instead of the man, i.e. the preacher, to conform with the 12 links in the chain of existence, nidanas, that have neither whence to come nor whither to go, beginning from ignorance, avidya, which is fundamentally non-existent, and conception, samskara, which is also basically unreal, down to birth, jati, which is fundamentally non-existent, and old age and death, jara marana, which are equally unreal. Thus contemplated, the 12 links in the chain of existence are inexhaustible, thereby putting an end to the wrong view of annihilation. This is the unsurpassed offering of Dharma. The Buddha then said to Sakra, Luna Canopy, after hearing the Dharma from the Buddha by Sajja, the Buddha of medicine, realized only the patience of meekness, and took off his precious robe to offer it to that Buddha, saying, World-honored one, after your nirvana, I shall make offerings of Dharma to uphold the right doctrine. Will your awe-inspiring majesty help me to overcome the demons and to practice the bodhisattva line of conduct? The Buddha by Sajja knew of his deep thought and prophesied, Until the last moment you will guard the Dharma-protecting citadel. Shakra, at that time, Luna Canopy perceived the pure and clean Dharma, and after receiving the Buddha's prophecy, believed it and left his home to join the order. He practiced the Dharma so diligently that he soon realized the 5 transcendental powers. In his bodhisattva's development, he won the endless power of speech through his perfect control, dharani, of all external influences. After the nirvana of the Buddha by Sajja, he used this power of speech to turn the wheel of the law, spreading the Dharma widely for 10 small eons. Luna Canopy was indefatigable in his preaching of the Dharma, and converted 1,000,000 lakhs of people who stood firm in their quest of supreme enlightenment, 14 nayutas of people who set their minds on achieving the Shravaka and Pratyeka Buddha stages, and countless living beings who were reborn in the heavens. Was that royal precious canopy? He is now a Buddha called the Tathagata Precious Flame, and his 1,000 sons are the 1,000 Buddhas of the present Bhadrakalpa, the virtuous eon, whose first Buddha was Shrakuchanda, and last Buddha was Ruchika. Bhikshu Lunar Canopy was myself. Chakra, you should know that the offering of Dharma is the highest form of offering. Therefore, Chakra, you should make the offering of Dharma as an offering to all Buddhas. 14. Injunction to spread this sutra. The Buddha then said to Maitreya, Maitreya, I now entrust you with the Dharma of supreme enlightenment, which I have collected during countless eons. In the third and last period of the Buddha Kalpa, you should use transcendental power to proclaim widely in Jambudvipa, the earth, profound sutras such as this one, without allowing them to be discontinued. For in future generations there will be virtuous men and women, as well as heavenly dragons, ghosts, spirits, Gandharvas and Rakshasas, who will take pleasure in the great Dharma, and will set their minds on the quest of supreme enlightenment. If they do not hear about such sutras, they will miss a great advantage. For these people are fond of and believe in these sutras, which they will readily accept by placing them on their heads, and which they will widely proclaim for the profit of living beings. Maitreya, you should know that there are 2 categories of bodhisattvas: those who prefer proud words and a racy style, and those who are not afraid of digging out the profound meanings which they can penetrate. Fondness of proud words and a racy style denotes the superficiality of a newly initiated bodhisattva. But he who, after hearing about the freedom from infection and bondage as taught in profound sutras, is not afraid of their deep meanings which he strives to master, thereby developing a pure mind to receive, keep, read, recite, and practice the Dharma as preached, is a bodhisattva who has trained for a long time. Maitreya, there are 2 classes of newly initiated bodhisattvas who cannot understand very deep dharmas: those who have not heard about profound sutras, and who, giving way to fear and suspicion, cannot keep them, but indulge in slandering them, saying, I have never heard about them. Where do they come from? And those who refuse to call on, respect, and make offerings to the preachers of profound sutras, or who find fault with the latter. These are 2 classes of newly initiated bodhisattvas who cannot control their minds when hearing the deep Dharma, thereby harming themselves. Maitreya, further, there are 2 categories of bodhisattvas who harm themselves and fail to realize the patient endurance of the uncreate, in spite of their belief and understanding of the deep Dharma. They are firstly those who belittle newly initiated bodhisattvas and do not teach and guide them, and secondly, those who, despite their faith in the deep Dharma, still give rise to discrimination between form and formlessness. After hearing the Buddha expound the Dharma, Maitreya said, World-honored one, I have not heard all this before. As you have said, I shall keep from these evils and uphold the Dharma of supreme enlightenment, which the Tathagata has collected during countless eons. In future, if there are virtuous men and women who seek for Mahayana, I shall see to it that this sutra will be placed in their hands, and shall use transcendental power to make them remember it, so that they can receive, keep, read, recite, and proclaim it widely. World-honored one, in the coming Dharma-ending age, if there are those who can receive, keep, read, and recite this sutra and expound it widely, they will do so under the influence of my transcendental power. The Buddha said, "Excellent, Maitreya, excellent. As you have said, I will help you achieve this great joy." At that, all the bodhisattvas in the assembly brought their palms together and said to the Buddha, "After your nirvana, we will also proclaim this Dharma of supreme enlightenment widely in the 10 directions, and will guide preachers of Dharma to obtain this sutra." The 4 kings of Devas said to the Buddha, "World-honored one, in all towns and villages, in the groves and wilderness, and where there is this sutra and people reading, reciting, explaining, and proclaiming it, I will lead local officials to go to their places to listen to the Dharma, and to protect them, so that no one dares to come within 100 yojanas of their places to trouble them." The Buddha then said to Ananda, "Ananda, you too should receive, keep, and spread this sutra widely." Ananda said, "Yes, world-honored one, I have received this sutra and will keep it. What is its title?" The Buddha said, "Ananda, its title is the Sutra Spoken by Vimalakirti, or the Inconceivable Door to Liberation, under which you should receive and keep it." After the Buddha had expounded this sutra, the old upāsaka Vimalakirti, Manjushri, Shariputra, Ananda, and others, as well as devas, asuras, and all those present, were filled with joy, believed, received, and kept it, paid reverence, and went away.